A dwarf was waiting for Eragon in the Dragon Hold. Book 1, Eragon. Chapter 55, Hall of the Mountain King. Welcome to Eragon and Back Again, a podcast where we explore Christopher Paolini's inheritance cycle chapter by chapter. I'm Darien Smartt.
And I'm Lucy Hart.
And Lucy, I don't want to talk about Sparker's inspirations this time.
Okay.
I just want to very briefly acknowledge the situation in the United States.
Fair enough.
And how it is distressing and unfortunate. And if anyone is listening and thinks that we, two queer women, are unreasonable for being distressed by the outcome of the recent United States election, then we invite you to find another podcast to enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I did want to acknowledge and wanted to just take this opportunity and acknowledge that we very likely do have other listeners who feel the same way and feel distressed and feel concerned and want to say that, yeah, your feelings are 100% absolutely valid, and we are so sorry that you have to feel this way in this place where you live. And in other places in the world, too. Here's a fun fact. The president of this country does impact, actually, the rest of the world because of how the United States has situated itself as a world power. And so it's not great. It's not fun. We are not saying it's going to be fine because it for sure is not all going to be fine.
Scary shit. It's
scary. I also wanted to acknowledge this not to be fear, not to be like, oh, it's just going to be terrible. And if folks who are like, well, I just wanted to listen to this podcast and it's supposed to be my escapism and I'm not happy that this is being addressed. I totally get that too. I feel like it would be disingenuous of us as people with our little tiny platform space to not acknowledge that and share and vocalize, especially with the themes of the books we're reading in fantasy and the idea of watching powers take over that seek to only support themselves and their goals and not to lead or protect a vulnerable people.
Yep.
And what that means and how that can hurt and how that can be a problem. And simultaneously wanted to acknowledge that we're still going to do our silly little podcast.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think we were talking about this before and you mentioning choosing joy. And I'm like, I got it tattooed on my fucking chest. I choose joy and I will live my life by that. I choose joy. And I did I know we're all at Eragon right now, but I shared the quote with you from Gandalf. And I just think I want to read it just because it is really good. So some believe it is only great power that can hold evil in check. But that is not what I have found. I have found that it is the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. And so that's how I think is a good thing. We should still be nice, kind. We should still be loving in those,
especially
in every moment.
Now. Especially when
now.
There's been
Show
a big
kindness.
a big chunk
Choose
that demonstrated that they aren't. And there are folks who need that now more than anything. And
choose kindness, choose joy over hate and anger. Which is hard. Anger is very hard right now. Absolutely. We are allowed.
We choose joy, and that does not mean we are not sad or we are not scared or that we are not angry and that we do not have a right to feel those things.
Yes.
But I am electing to choose joy as radical defiance in the face of powers that will do everything they can to strip that joy from me and my loved ones and my friends and the people in my life. And so in that world, joy is radical defiance.
Yep.
And so we will continue to do our silly little podcast where we talk about these silly little dragon books.
Yep.
And
just enjoy dragons and therein and this book in particular that has brought us so much joy. A little frustration, but a lot more joy.
A lot more joy. And so we invite you, our dear listeners, to continue to experience this podcast as an element of joy.
Yes.
And again, if any part of this message was unpalatable to certain listeners, we absolutely invite you to find another free podcast to share your time with, and we'll make no comments as you exit.
Yes.
But for those who feel it and know, and we invite you. And it's, even if you are someone who's like, I can't simply choose joy right now, you choose what you need to choose, and there is no judgment. But for us, we are choosing joy as, again, radical defiance.
Yep.
So that is just where wanted to vocalize just a bit there. And now let's talk about the episode.
Let's talk about the episode.
Well, chapter. This is the episode.
The episode is the chapter. Hall of the Mountain King.
Hall of the Mountain King. Eragon and Saphira meet Hrothgar, king of the dwarves. While other clans are opposed to their presence, Hrothgar appears to be an ally. After the meeting, Eragon goes to the library, where he runs into the twins, who are certainly not allies.
Oh, no.
The unpleasant interaction has Eragon returning to the Dragon Keep, where he meets another new face, Naswada, Ajahad's daughter.
Ooh. Yeah, and that's like, what I like about this chapter is there are 3 pretty big beats.
Yep.
I feel like, non-spoiler as possible, like, meeting of Naswada is like a beat. It's like one of the more significant things that happen in the chapter, but knowing what we know, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, hey,
and that's all I'll say.
Yeah. Where it's a very short interaction, but I like how Eragon's like, couldn't have thought of Ajahad being someone who would marry and have children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I also like his contemplation after that is when, like, she came all this way for that. There's got to be more to that meeting.
Yeah. He's like,
it's like,
yeah. Did you walk? Because she just, it's the very end of the chapter, but she's like, oh, I wanted to relay a message from my father. First of all, basically she says, hey, my man, please don't be blessing babies like that again.
Yeah. Please don't bless the babies. Because we learn in the beginning of the chapter. Yeah, after the beginning of after the meeting of the King Hrothgar, the dwarf King Hrothgar, Auric tells him, like, yeah, dude, like, the city's in basically an uproar.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Well, like, they've moved the baby girl and her caretaker into, like, the finest rooms we have. So they literally went from
squalor.
Well, I can't imagine that they're letting anyone live in squalor.
Yeah, it was squalor like it was
probably
like
lowest levels of poverty. Just because everyone doesn't have a lot, they had to bring what they had with them.
Yeah.
And the Varden is doing its best to provide. Yes. But they don't have a lot. They're cut off, so like they don't have a lot. They come from the lowest. They were in the lowest levels of poverty to they have been elevated, and this girl is being like, she will be a great hero one day. We need to put her in the lap of luxury. And I'm like, that's not usually where heroes come from, gang.
Yeah.
Not to say you should leave this baby without enough resources to survive, but that's not the only. And basically, Eragon's like, okay, don't do that again. Everyone's gonna wanna. Yeah, please don't do that again.
Yeah, don't do it again.
But she also lets him know that Ajahad has said he is allowed to visit Murtagh.
Yes,
which I appreciate because through the chapter, you know who he doesn't think about once? Murtagh. Well, he wakes up and is like, hey, you gotta go visit the king.
Yep, Auric. Or no, there's just a random dwarf there, and he's like, hey. Auric is waiting for you. They go to Auric. Auric's like, hey, Hrothgar, my king Hrothgar wishes to see both of you. Dismount quickly. We must hurry.
Yep. So they go down. They do meet the king.
Which is really cool.
Really cool sequence.
I really do like the whole, like, dwarfen, like, Great Hall, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
They entered Trondheim's central chamber. Auric led the way to one of the 2 descending stairways that flanked the opposite hall. And what I really like is the description of, like, a dark hall lay before them, a good bow shot long. The throne room was a natural cave. The walls were lined with stalagmites and stalactites, each thicker than a man. Sparsely hung lanterns cast a moody light. The brown floor was smooth and polished. At the far end of the hall was a black throne with a motionless figure upon it. And I'm like, that cuts such an image, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I fucking love that so much.
Yep. It's very, very good. It's very imposing. It also, like, I like how he mentions that there's this, like, images of dwarven kings and queens dating back. And he talked about, these are all of my ancestors. And so we've already referenced how the dwarves are not comfortable with Eragon is a dragon rider in general, and they have a long history, like, where they still have a lot of strife regarding the dragons.
Yes.
And so, like, the fact that they're this, like, throne room, this royal hall, shows all of the previous royals, the previous rulers, leaders, all the way back to as long as they probably began recording. It does demonstrate the very long memory of the dwarves.
Yes, absolutely.
And that tells us that, like, is like, it's not just like this kind of finicky nothingness. Like their reservations about Eragon and Saphira and dragons and everything is a very strong like cultural component because of the nature of the dwarves.
Oh, absolutely. I also think because he also mentions that strength emanated from the throne, strength that harkened back to ancient times when dwarves had ruled in Alagasia without opposition from elves or humans. And so it was like, yeah, like I think it was because like we've described how the dragons and the dwarves were the only ones like on Alagasia before the humans and elves. So it's like I agree with you. Like this whole place, just the statues and the throne and most everything in here is just tribute to how long it has been and how far back they go. And I do like about the memory too.
Yeah, but he mentions the other thing about how, like what you said, like they're older, they were here. We know this. The dwarves and the dragons were here before the elves and humans. But he has this line about like, we are the bones of the land, older than both the fair elves and the savage dragons. Saphira shifted slightly. And that's the thing, it's like we don't know if that line's true. But simultaneously, the history we have of the land comes from Brahm. Yeah. So we don't know who was first. Was it the dwarves or was it the dragons, or were they like simultaneous, or were they because they didn't interact for so long? So I think that's an interesting line where it's like they do view themselves as being the like basically true, like they're bones of the land. They are the true keepers of the land. They are the true ones who should have Alagasia. He's not really saying it's like you all need to leave. Yeah. But like we have a place here that's very deep. Yeah. And the fact that he says that it is like even older than the dragons, we don't know if that is true to that's what really happened. Yeah. But it does indicate that that is true to the history that the dwarves tell. Yes. And that indicates, and also Saphira, like the fair elves and the savage dragons also gives us a more indication of like how they feel about the dragons. Yeah. But later on, when he's asking them, like, what do you want? Yes. Like, what do you want to do? And Eragon's like, listen, we only came because we were like trying to like escape what we've had. He's like, oh, do you want to just hide here? Then he's like, well, no, we want to deal with the problem. Yeah. Like, we're eventually going to be sent to the elves to train, but we'd like to stay here in the meantime. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, do you want to make yourself king? And Eragon's like, no, I haven't thought about that. But I also like how, what is Eragon's line exactly? I want to like fight the Empire until there's nothing but scattered ashes. More than that, though, I want to aid those who cannot escape Galbatorix, including my cousin. If I have the strength to help, so I must. Yep. I like that. But then he asks Saphira, and so he asks Saphira, Dragon, what think you in this matter? What reason have you come?
Tell him that I thirst for the blood of our enemies and eagerly await the day when we ride to battle against Galbatorix. I've no love or mercy for traitors and egg breakers like that false king. He held me for over a century, and even now still has 2 of my brethren, whom I would free if possible. And tell Hrothgar I think you ready for this task.
Eragon grimaced at her words, but dutifully relayed them. The corner of Hrothgar's mouth lifted with a hint of grim amusement, deepening his wrinkles. I see that the dragons have not changed with the centuries. It kind of like her response being, I thirst for the blood of our enemies. Yeah. Is in his reference earlier of like savage dragons. Yeah. And then her saying that, he's like, yeah, dragons haven't changed. Yeah. Like, oh, that's what you mean. Not like mindless monsters. Yeah. But like fierce, aggressive, determined. Yes. I'm like, okay, interesting. Yep. But he also talks about how I like this other lore thing. He mentions how the throne is uncomfortable. Yes,
I love that. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm. When he's like, listen, when time comes for me not to be king, I will not have a complaint about that. I'll be more than happy when it's not my time to be king anymore. What is there to remind you of your obligations, Eragon? If the Empire falls, will you take Galbatorix's place and claim his kingship? I do not seek to wear the crown or rule. Being a writer is responsibility enough. No, I would not take the throne in Urabane. Not unless there were no one else willing or competent enough to take it. And I like that added line. Yes, very much. There's a pause where he's like first Eragon's like instantly like, I don't want to be king. Absolutely I don't want to be in charge. I'm a writer, and I get that comes with a lot as it is. Yeah. So like that's I want the responsibility of a writer. I'm not looking to be king. Yep. And then you just think about it. He's like acknowledges that like. But the fact that Hrothgar acknowledged, like, is this what you're looking for? I think Eragon does clock in this moment of like, oh, people will maybe be expecting that. Yeah. And he thinks about it. He's like, I don't want to do that. but gosh, if there's no one else who is willing to take it on or competent.
Yes.
And I like him acknowledging that, like, that's not, he's like, he might have to
Yeah.
if he is the best option.
Yep.
And Eragon is not saying he is the best option. He is not saying he wants to be the best option, but
Yes.
he is acknowledging that it's part of the responsibility he bears,
Yes.
that he cannot let the next ruler of Allegasia be as bad as Galbatorix, or
Yep.
be in a different way. Like someone who is not competent
Yes.
will be equally poor for the people of the land as Galbatorix, who is competent and vicious.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think Hrothgar sees that, and I think he does like approve of what Eragon says, because he's goes on and says, certainly you would be a kinder king than Galbatorix, but no race should have a leader who does not age or leave the throne.
Yeah.
And I think like I feel like there's like this underlining meaning in Eragon's what he said, and I think what Hrothgar warns here is that Eragon would need to step down if someone else came along.
Yeah.
And I think like Eragon is saying like he would, because he's like, oh, I'll take it if no one else does. And while he doesn't say I'll step down once someone does like step up to be competent and who wants it, it's implied that Eragon would step down, especially in the fact that he's being really humble and he's like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So, and I think Hrothgar's like, good, because he says that he's old. Hrothgar's like, I'm old like even for dwarves. I met the last leader of the riders when they were here. I still remember when the riders interfered with our ongoing.
Yeah, but he also acknowledges, but I acknowledge the piece that would allow us to do these things.
Exactly.
Also important to acknowledge that like there is a degree of stability that the writers created that allowed individuals and these various cultures to thrive.
Yes.
Because if you are in a land that is unstable, you do not thrive.
Yes.
Well, unless you are taking advantage of that instability.
Yes, absolutely. And so it's I just really like, because it's, and then Hrothgar is also like, I will step down. He'll either retire or abdicate, yes, or die, kind of thing. And then the crown will move on, because he is dying. Like, even dwarfs have long lives, he will eventually step down. Whereas Galbatorix is, at this point, unending.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, I agree with that a lot. I also think, like, in all of their interactions, and even, like, I wanted to mention this, like, the first interaction we have with Hrothgar, where Eragon kneels and he says, "Rise, Rider, you need not pay tribute to me." And then all the other interactions is, because I don't know if you were feeling this, but I was like anxious.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, like Hrothgar, the Dwarf King, Oric says that he's quick to anger, like, oh no, like, kind of thing. But like all of the indication is like, no, I like him. I like Hrothgar.
Yeah,
Hrothgar seems like a really good leader and just very practical. And Eragon even says it afterwards to Oric. He's very cautious.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, I really like Hrothgar.
He's like, oh, he's quick to anger. Anyway, we do find out that Oric is his nephew.
Yeah,
so maybe he's quicker to anger to his nephew.
Yeah, a little bit. And I do like that. He's like, oh, has my nephew helped you out? And he goes, who? He's like, Oric. Like, he's my youngest sister's son.
He's like, I did not know. Or it's so funny.
He didn't fucking
I
mention
like
that.
he's like, oh, has my nephew, like, assuming that Oric has mentioned that the king is his uncle, and Oric has not mentioned that. He once mentioned that he is of the clan of the king, and he's speaks very highly and has pride in that we just would have interpreted as someone who is admiring of his leader.
Oh, absolutely.
But the fact that he's like, Oric did not mention that, oh, this is my uncle. I think it tells us a lot about Oric.
Oh, absolutely.
He does not broadcast that. It's not important, but we know it is because the king asked, has my nephew taken you well?
Yes.
Like, so that family bond is something that's important.
Yeah.
So perhaps Oric either does not want anybody to assume he has gotten to where he is solely because the king is, like, he was picked. He has an important role, like being part of the Varden, being close to Ajahad, now being the one who is helping the rider.
And he's important because Hrothgar even admits he's been serving under Ajahad to show my support for the for
so
the Varden.
sending his
So,
nephew.
Absolutely. And Orc, I was going to say, I was going to mention earlier, Orc's like a pawn, but I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Like, not at all. Like, I think Oric is very willing to go with Ajahad,
Mhm.
and Oric is also being like, I'm going to have my family.
Yes.
And showing his support. So, yeah, absolutely.
And so it's also interesting because it's like a pawn is saying someone is a pawn is very. He's like a knight on the chessboard. Like I think Hrothgar is using him as a piece.
Yeah.
But it is specifically he's like I'm demonstrating my support for the Varden by
Yeah.
sending my nephew.
Yes.
It's his youngest sister's son.
Yeah.
And you do have to wonder, how does the line of succession work for dwarves?
Yes.
Does Hrothgar have children?
Yes.
If he does not, who is next?
Yes.
Is it whoever is the closest kin?
Yeah.
Or is it the closest male heir?
Yeah.
Do
or
the
even
other
like, is it like a voting thing? Because we know there's 7 dwarf clans, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is there like a voting
when he steps
thing?
down, do they
Yeah.
we don't know how the king is picked, but it's like, does it work like if it is like closest male heir, if none of the other sisters have sons, is Oric the next heir?
Yeah.
And does that make this so much more? Like, we
Much
don't
more,
know.
yeah.
But the fact that he is the son, not the son, but like related, a nephew
Yeah.
of the thing. And then Ajahad's, we talked about how like, oh, now he made Oric like the personal like guide for the dragon rider, and that's a huge honor.
Yes.
And how we find out, oh, he made the king's nephew the personal like guide for them. And that's like I
Also,
think
like, a
Ajahad
huge-
returning the favor,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
demonstrating how much he appreciates Hrothgar giving them this support
absolutely.
by making sure his
he
the
doesn't
person
have
who's
like
sent.
any of his people. He had one of Hrothgar's
Yep.
people, was like side by side with Eragon.
Yeah, and
helping
so
him.
in these recent chapters, we have gotten a lot of the players, right? Like
Yep.
we have gotten Ajahad, and now we have gotten Hrothgar, and he acknowledges that there are other clans. His advisors, they are not jazzed that Eragon's here. They
No.
want them to be banished from
that was
Farthendur.
Yeah,
they
because
want him out of Tronsham. They want him
Yeah,
out of this land.
'cause
They don't
that's-
want him here.
Yeah, that's the thing where he apologizes for not being able to meet him the first day because I was forced to deal with my enemies within the clans. They demanded that I deny you sanctuary and expel you from Farthendur.
Yeah.
It's just like, oof.
Yeah. And so that also, when he's mentioning how he is old and his time as king will be coming to an end, like that also puts us in a state of like concern, because right now, like, these are the only allies that they have.
Yep.
And we have Ajahad, who is game on board with Eragon, and we have Hrothgar, who is game on board with Eragon and Saphira. But if those leaders change, like, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Like, we have Hrothgar, if one of the other clans become in charge, they will no longer have this security here.
Yeah.
The Varden would lose that security. Like, it's letting us know that it's not just about learning magic and being able to fight well and fly on a dragon. Like, there is a lot of layers of politics going on that Eragon and Saphira have no control over.
No control.
Like, Hrothgar could, we don't know how, like, he's like, I'm dying. He's old. He's like, he's suggesting that he could retire and abdicate. But, like, I don't know. He could trip and bash his head open onto some stairs by accident and be dead tomorrow. And now we've got to deal with a whole new problem.
Yeah.
And will it be Oric or will they vote? Like, it's up in the air.
Yep.
Or, like, what if something happens to Ajahad? Like, what is... We were introduced to these characters to, like, flesh out the world and demonstrate this. But, like, when I was a kid, I didn't clock that what we were
like
learning is that there... yes. Oh, it's like, oh, I'm so glad that Ajahad likes Eragon. He seems nice. Oh, I'm so glad that the Hrothgar likes Eragon. He seems nice. That's good. And Eragon and Saphira can be in the safe space. But I did not identify the tenuous strings that were keeping those in place and how they could so easily break.
Yep.
And how all of this is so very fragile.
Yes.
And there are so many pieces that Eragon and Saphira have no control over.
Yep. And it's I just keep thinking, I'm like, Paulini does a freaking excellent job. Like, I always find it difficult to read through politics, but this wasn't like strenuous to read. Like, it was but it's also like, I feel like right now we're getting like the surface level stuff. But it's still just like, I do think like Paulini does such a good job at like hinting about like showing how fragile it all is. How much like, holy cow, one thing goes wrong and this all falls apart, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like that's a new added stressor for Saphira and Eragon, but I do like how they're like, we're just not going to worry about it right
Mm-hmm.
now. They've got so much other stuff to worry about. We're like, we're just going to keep doing our thing and recuperate and keep moving forward.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's probably the best way to handle that.
Yeah,
honestly.
well, you can do. Yeah, I like that. And then we get to Saphira's like, I'm gonna go back to the Dragon Keep because there's someone up there I want to meet. And everyone's like, wait, who do you want to meet? And
And she just winks at him.
bye.
I
She's
love
like,
it so
"Okay."
much.
And they're like, and I love how Eragon's like, I would love to see more of Trondheim. Like, I am so interested in this
Yeah.
place. So he takes him to the library.
Yeah,
And
I
Eragon's
really
like,
like
I hope
that.
I still know how to read. And I'm
Yeah.
like, baby,
I know.
Eragon."
I'm like, oh, my dude. And I think he admits that it is a more difficult because he just
Yeah.
hasn't been practicing. And I'm like, that's fair.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he wasn't like it's not like he'd been reading his whole life and then has gone these few months without reading anything.
Yeah.
Like it was already a very new skill he had
Yeah.
only just kind of started to
Started
learn,
learn.
and was very like he's literate. He
Yeah.
can read.
Yes.
But having fallen out of practice and not being like a core set like magic has. I think at this point, if he for some reason went XYZ months without doing magic, yeah, maybe he would also still be rocky about it.
I think it would still be a little rocky, but I think it wouldn't be as much as reading because he's like I was thinking the sword too.
Yeah.
Like he's practiced magic and fighting with the sword way more often than
Yeah.
reading. So I think if he went an X amount of time without doing that, it wouldn't hit him as hard as reading did.
Yeah.
Because he was only reading with Braum.
Yep.
And
yep.
so when
There's
Braum
only magic,
passed-
and but he's got to keep doing it with Murtagh.
Exactly. And another thing is like he didn't have time for reading or practicing writing or any of that.
Yeah.
Because they were on the run basically.
I think and it's not like I think it is so interesting that it wasn't. They were on the run, but they had like a chunk of time where they're just like traveling with Murtagh. But they
Yeah.
didn't have anything to read. But it is interesting, like he's like still practicing swords, still practicing that. I wonder if it's an intentional choice that Paulini didn't have him do any reading or writing, or if it was I didn't think about that until now. And now he can go to the library. We'll just acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Because Murtagh can read.
Yes.
And he could write.
Oh, that's
and I
true.
think that would have been so interesting if Saphira had advised Eragon that you should practice writing.
You should keep writing.
Like, you should be... He's like, I don't have... Right? He's like, just do it in the dirt. And he, like, Murtagh notes it, and it could have been, like, this uncomfortable, like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm still... I don't know how to do this. And, like, I don't know. They're already friends, but I think that could have been a very interesting practical skill. Because they didn't... Because Murtagh knows words in the ancient language. I think we got a little bit of an indication that he got... But I don't know if he knew more than Eragon did.
I don't think so.
And so being able to fight and duel with Murtagh was useful.
Yeah.
But I don't think he necessarily learned anything from... I don't think he necessarily learned anything from Murtagh other than just being able to maintain skill.
Yeah.
I think it would have been really nice, just hypothetical, tiny note, if Murtagh had been like, oh... Yeah, for sure. Like, if Murtagh's been on the run, like, if he had, like, a book or something.
Yeah.
If he had, like, I've got the scroll if you want to, like, copy to practice. Just something
I do think,
pretty.
like, if he sees him doing that and he goes, oh, well, Braum was teaching me how to do that, like, read and write. Saphira says I should keep up with it as well as my other skills.
Yeah.
And Murtagh just kind of laughs and goes, well, you don't need to write in the dirt, and goes to his pack and brings out, like, a piece of
something.
paper.
He's like, I've got
Like,
this for you to practice
he's like, I had this paper, like, just in case, XYZ happened or
you
something.
never know when you need something, right?
And then he's like, I also have this book.
I have a book.
Yeah,
I've read it 1,000 times.
Yeah,
So if you want to practice, I'll be able to
questions-
clock if you get anything
yeah,
wrong.
exactly. Like something
Mild,
like that.
one thing, not
It
often,
would have been
but
really cute.
I think that was there, and I feel like it was just an oversight and forgotten as an option.
Yeah.
But the library is cool. And I like, again, we were jazzed about this character trait in Eragon when he was like, oh my God, I can learn and have all this information.
Yeah.
And he's still like, he's going like older and older.
Yeah, he's
and,
super. I like that too, because it's like, even if the idea of reading is like terrifying for him, he's still really excited to go to the library. And I also like when he mentions the library, he gets this pang of like, oh, Braum taught me this. Yeah. And so it's still this like paying soft spot. But then he gets there and he's really excited about most colorful.
How long can I stay?
Yeah.
And
he's really happy about it, which makes me really happy.
Yeah. And then Oric tells him like, oh, this is like the true legacy of our race. Here resides the writings of our greatest kings and scholars from antiquity to present. Also recorded are songs and stories composed by our artisans. The library may be our most precious possession. Mm-hmm. It isn't all our work, though. There are human writings here as well. Yours is a short-lived but prolific race. We have little or nothing of the elves. They guard their secrets with jealousy.
Yep.
They guard their secrets jealously. And I like that it's like, oh, it's a great library. He also mentions earlier, like, it will be good for you to learn the history of Alagasia when it's untainted by Galbatorix rewriting it.
Exactly. Because, like, what better place to learn the history than at the Varden?
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Yeah.
Because everywhere else is under Galbatorix's thumb.
Yeah. And I think that is so, you may find it interesting to read a history of Alagasia that hasn't been tainted by Galbatorix's hand. And that's a very quick line that is so easy to like look past when you're a kid and you don't fully understand the grasp of that.
Yep.
But tyrants and corrupt leaders will rewrite history and they will ban ideas and they will to fit their narrative. They will change narratives, they will change details, they will reframe things, they will accuse certain things being forbid for certain things being taught because they want a certain version of history to be communicated, the one that uploads their right to power and keeps people from recognizing how truly wrong things are.
Absolutely, because I think like even before like Eragon knew of the Varden, I'm trying to remember back ages ago when I think they know that the Varden are rebels, but I'm like 100% sure that Galbatorix is portraying them as an evil force.
We get that in back in Carvajal there are some people who don't necessarily like the Varden. They don't think they're helpful, they think they're just troublemakers, but there are other people, like I think people of Carvajal are a little bit more pro Varden because they're not pro Empire, because the Empire never takes care of them. And they're not like, oh yeah, we're gonna run off and join the Varden. But they're at least a little bit more like, the Varden. But like, if Eragon also, like, he doesn't know a lot about him, except that the Empire does frame them as like troublemakers.
Yep.
So while he's in the library, of course, someone's up to crash the good time.
Yeah. And I highlighted this because it made me think about what you said earlier. So he rounds a corner and the twins stood together, their shoulders meeting, a blank expression on their smooth faces.
Creeps.
Their black snake eyes bored into him. Their hands, hidden within folds of their purple robes, twitched slightly. They both bowed, but the movement was insolent and derisive. "We have been searching for you," one said. His voice was uncomfortably like the Razak's. And I remember back when we first were reading from the twins, and you were reading them as the Razak.
And why am I using the Razak voice?
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you were on point. Like we have canon.
They give us Razak vibes.
Yeah,
which is a major indicator of like, I think us being like, these are the traitors. Fucking, I see them right there.
I hate these
right
people.
The fuck there.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm like, I feel like if Paulinia was trying to hide the fact that these people are
untrustworthy.
Comparing them to the Razak is not something he should have done. Because you put the Razak and these twins in the same sentence, you're going to be like, oh, we're going to draw lines with them and be like, oh, these are evil sons of bitches.
Yeah, there's nothing there's never been a single indication that they are doing anything. I talked about this before, where it's like you could have a character who is opposed to Eragon, who is giving him a hard time because they don't necessarily trust him and they are trying to do what's best for the Varden.
Yep.
And there's just nothing in the way the twins interact with Eragon, or way they were described, that lead us to indicate that maybe they have good reasons for being difficult.
Yeah.
And everything, like in this interaction when they're like, oh, you should join our club and we'll teach you stuff and you don't have to give us anything, but if you want to. And Eragon's like, oh, they're trying to get more of the ancient language out of me.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he immediately reaches out to Saphira and she's like, I got you, bro.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry. If they try to step, I'm already here.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think it's really weird because they've been nothing but like hostile up until this point. And then they're like, oh, like, they're like, hey, if you want to join our club, like, we could guide you, show you spells we've discovered, and teach you words of power. Nothing would gladden us more than if we could assist in some small way your path to glory. And it's like, but the thing is we don't fucking buy it.
Yeah.
Because you've been so creepy and suspicious not up until this point, this whole time.
And Ajahad acknowledges that he super doesn't love it. We learned that Ajahad's not the one that hired these fools. He just inherited them. Angela doesn't like them
at all.
Like, we are not ever indicated that they are just like on the same side, but like have different ways about doing things.
Yeah.
Like, no, these dudes are shady as hell. And they're the ones who are going to test Eragon in his magic.
Yeah.
And we're like, neat.
It's just not good. And I do like, because this he got a warning from Angela about the I know how to say it, Duvringergata,
Mhm.
about how like, oh, they're gonna try to like get you to join
Mhm.
because they tried to get me to join and I'm not in about that. And I think like after they offer him the thing and Aragon's like, I'll consider, and then they're like, bye, and he goes, I'm not gonna join no matter what they do. And Saphira advises that he should talk to Angela. She's dealt with the twins before. Perhaps she could be there when they test you. That might prevent them from harming you. I think that's really good fucking advice.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Because,
you need someone else there to police.
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Because there's no one else.
Yes.
And that's so interesting because it does demonstrate, like, we the reader are like, I don't trust them.
Yeah.
And Eragon and Saphira are like, we don't trust them. We're legitimately concerned they're going to try to hurt us.
Yeah.
But that's not but they are so trusted that like no one else has considered that fact. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna teach you, they're gonna test you on your magic, so we know where you're at, so we can tell that to the elves, so because that's what they want to test Eragon to see where his skills are at.
Yep.
So they can communicate what his level of training is to the elves. Like that's what it is. It's like revealed as a test, but he can't fail this test.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they'll kick him out.
Yeah.
If he doesn't know enough. They are trying to gauge. It's like a placement exam.
Yeah.
We need to know how much you know so we know where you need to be put so we can communicate with the elves where they need to do.
Exactly.
And I'm sure the elves will be super chill about that.
Right?
But there's no one else worried that like, oh yeah, the twins will just test and see what he's capable of. But Eragon and Saphira are like, we're worried they're going to, just try to use us to get more because he even calls him out, like, I'm not going to teach you the words that Brahm told me.
Yeah.
And I bet that pissed you off that you couldn't get him out of my head.
Yeah.
And that's when they drop their facade, like, we're really dangerous enemies.
Yeah, and that's like the big thing is like, I'm like, they threaten him. Remember, it only takes one misconceived spell to kill someone. That is a fucking death threat.
They absolutely threatened to kill him.
And it's just like, and everyone's still gonna just be like, all right, that's fine. Like,
Well,
what the fuck? He doesn't tell anybody, but I'm just
yeah.
like, Jesus.
Like, there's no one who is like, yeah, the twins are kind of weird, but, like, we trust them. They're on our side. Like, and Aaron and Saphira are like, we should get Angela and make sure she's around when we do this test because, like, big yikes.
Yeah.
And he does try to find Angela. He can't find her. He's
and I'm like, that's fair.
House.
She's probably, like, put a spell on it or something
You
to
can't,
keep it.
Yeah, unless Solembum guides you
Yeah,
there.
you can't hide it. You can't find it unless
I want you to find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like so Angela.
It's so Angela. Of course, she doesn't want to be disturbed.
Yeah.
I really wanted him to say, "Oh no, I've actually already joined like Angela's witch club."
Yeah,
like I really want to be like,
that
"Oh,
would've been
actually,
so
I'm already in Angela's
really
coven."
And then I'm like, I gotta talk to Angela and let her in on the,
and
so she'll play along.
Yeah, he can't find her, so he's like, I just go back to the Dragon Keep, and here's where we have our last big
our last
moment.
Beat. Yep,
is he hears someone talking in the room, and he's like, Saphira, who's in there?
A female. She has an air of command. I'll distract her while you come in.
And Oryx said that intruders would be kept out of the dragon hold, so who could this be?
I also love how she distracts. She just pokes her head.
Yeah, she's like, I think...
She just pokes her head out.
Mm-hmm. And so you see this woman, she appeared to be about 17 years old. The star sapphire cast a rosy light on her, accentuating skin the same deep shade as Ajahad's. Her velvet dress was wine red and elegantly cut. A jeweled dagger, worn with use, hung from her waist in a tooled leather sheath. I love all of those details, especially the jeweled dagger, worn with use.
Yep.
And so, yeah, she continues to look at Saphira and then curtsied and asked sweetly, please, could you tell me where the rider Eragon is?
And Saphira's just like, nah, he's behind you.
Yeah. With a hint of smile, Eragon said, I am here. The woman whirled to face him, hand flying to her dagger. I love that, too. It's not just, like, worn with use, as in, oh, she inherited it already used. Like, the fact that when he startles her, she immediately, goes for her weapon.
Yes.
Likewise, when he was coming in, he did have his hand on his sword.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's like, okay. And she sees it's him. She curtsies. She relaxes. I'm Naswada. And he's like, okay, what do you want? My father Ajahad sent me here with a message. Would you like to hear it?
The Varden's leader had not struck Eragon as one inclined to marriage and fatherhood. He wondered who Naswada's mother was. She must have been an uncommon woman to have attracted Ajahad's eye. He's like, all right.
I mean, he's just like...
Because I think the purpose of that is supposed to be like, Ajahad is so striking.
Mm-hmm.
There must have been an equally striking woman to have caught his eye, I'm thinking.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think that's the intent.
Yes.
It reads very much as not like other girls.
Yeah.
Though is a thing. She must have been an uncommon woman. Not like an uncommon person. Not like a striking woman. Not like a powerful, imposing, like... just he's like, he wouldn't settle for just any woman.
Yeah.
Any woman wouldn't be good enough for Aja. She must have been super unique. It is a layer of kind of misogyny that is not intentional, but is often pervasive, where women as a whole are simple creatures that someone as grand as Aja had wouldn't be interested in a woman. She must have been not like the other girls.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a thing you see a lot. And it's just something that, like, you register when it's like she, because, like, must be uncommon. Again, it's meant to, like, be a compliment of, like,
yes.
But it's the word choicing of, like, I wouldn't think Aja would settle for just anybody. Like, I don't know. It's like,
why not, though?
Why not, though? Like, oh, you think he's so cool, he wouldn't ever just also have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like, get married, have a wife. Like,
girlfriend.
men who are accomplished would not settle for women. Yeah. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Like, the idea that, like, accomplished men don't get distracted by ordinary women. Yeah. Like, or women as a whole. Yeah. Like, I would not have, like, that's the unintentional ickiness. Yeah. That what is meant to be a compliment to Aja had, and probably to Naswada's mother.
I think to the whole family.
It's the whole family.
To be a compliment.
It's because, likewise, it's not a compliment to say, oh, you're not like other girls. Yeah. What's wrong with other girls? Yeah. I love other girls. I want to be like other girls. Other girls are great. Don't ever try to tell me I'm not like other girls. I'm exactly like every other girl you ever met.
Other girl.
Girls are great.
Girls are great.
So I think, I don't know, there was an intent, and there's what the unfortunate layers that have actually led to this statement. Yeah. It's carrying a lot of baggage. It doesn't mean to be carrying baggage. Yeah, but it is carrying baggage. Yeah. I think because, like, she, rather than being like Aja had him being like, not making it about her being special enough to have caught Aja Had's eye. Yeah. Like, rather than being like, she's very, like making about Naswada, like, her mother must have been as equally, I don't know.
Striking.
I keep going back. Regal. Striking, yeah. Must have been as an equally, but then, well, that's the next chapter stuff when we find out a little bit more about there. So, like, I don't know. That's right. It just circling back to, like, I wouldn't have thought Aja Had would ever just have sex with a woman. It's like, why he's surprised? I don't know. I think maybe he hadn't heard tale of Aja Had having a daughter. Yeah. He wondered who her mother was. Like, that could have been it.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what
I also think, like, again, like, I've listeners, I apologize. I feel like I've mentioned this a lot, but I feel like it does come with the era in which it was written. Mm-hmm. Just the, like, I think it's like the unintentional stuff is just that, and also 15-year-old, and just. Yeah.
And it's picking up pieces that are present in other things.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, I absolutely do not think Paolini intentionally that was his intention. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. It was just the product of its time.
Even if it wasn't the intention, that doesn't mean it's not there. And that's also like, we talk about, like, interrogating things. Like, you make a choice, but every choice you make, no matter how small, is in fact influenced by your own, like, experiences and personal biases. Like, everything about this world is a product of Paolini's beliefs. Yes. And even the smallest ones, because he creates every little letter of this world. Yeah. And so we indicate that of this world, women are not super viewed highly, even though we've not seen that, even though Eragon is not totally like that, even though never once have we been implied that that's, like, the case. Yeah. But how oftentimes the compliment given to women is that they are not like other women. Yeah. Is the bummer. Yeah. It's a bit of a bummer. Yeah. But you know who's not a bummer? Naswada. She's great.
I was going to say, she's great.
Here's my new best friend.
She's amazing. And that's, like, we're not trying to diss on Naswada or anything like that. But
no. Yeah. This is not about her. She's fantastic.
Yeah. So, she's and I like how it shows that she's ready for a fucking fight, too. Like,
she grabs that dagger.
Right fucking there. She's also, like, super polite. And
she curtsies to. I think Saphira, like, puts her head. She's like, oh, okay, and she respectfully like
she talks. And, like, we've talked about that before, where people don't necessarily talk to Saphira, but Naswada's just, like, looking at her curiously, and then
probably was startled.
Yeah, startled because, like, sudden dragon head, and then but she curtsies and she speaks directly to her, and which is, like, also earns points for Saphira because she likes it when people talk directly to her rather than assuming she's not intelligent.
Could you tell me where writer Eragon is?
Yeah.
And I like that. She's like, I don't know which means Aswada knows Saphira is intelligent. No, she definitely has heard like, oh yeah, they can communicate.
Yep.
I don't know if she's like, I don't know how she'll tell me, because Saphira doesn't talk to anyone else.
Yeah.
She only talks through Eragon.
Yeah.
But you should be talking at Saphira. It's like if you're communicating with someone who is using a translator for any reason, whether it's like a verbal translator for language or it's an interpreter who's doing sign language, you don't speak to the translator when you want to speak to that person. Like you speak to them. That's something I found I do a lot at work. I do not speak Spanish. I am monolingual, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have patients who are primarily like Spanish. And fortunately, a couple of people on the clinical team do speak Spanish.
Yes.
So they can help with translating those things. And I try to make a point when I am like scheduling or communicating, I talk to the patient. I'm not talking to the dental assistant. I'm talking to the patient because that is respectful. I am talking to them and they are translating for us. And then obviously when we're done, I always thank our DA and our hygienist for like, thank you so much for like using your skills and putting in that energy and that emotional labor. But like in the moment, speaking to that person, not to the translator.
Yes.
And so like, even if like she doesn't know Eragon's there, but like speaking to Saphira is always a good thing, even if Eragon is going to be the one who answers, which Hrothgar does earlier. He asks Saphira directly, what do you want to do?
Exactly. Yep.
And so, but it's also very charming. She like curtsies and asks like, hey, so looking for Eragon. Do you know where he's at? He's right there. And she's like, okay, first of all, Dad has asked, please don't do that again. Because that's crazy. Don't do that. And he's like, okay, yeah. Eragon again is 16 years old and is like, didn't really think what would happen after that. But he also was like, is that the only thing you came all the way up here for? Because it's a long stairwell.
Long way.
And she's like, oh no, I use the pulley system. That's how we transport goods up here.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Did you just like, I don't know what that looks like, but I am picturing like a large bucket and like a pulley and rope and her just
in that really elegant dress, just like going through it. Yeah. And also, she says, she's like, I could have sent a message with signals, but I decided to bring it for myself and meet you in person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the thing. I think that's really interesting too, is how she wanted to meet both of them.
Yep. Yeah, she is the leader of the Varden's daughter.
Yep.
Like, she is armed, she is intelligent, she is quick.
Yes.
So she also knows it is important that she gets it, because it's what Ajahad wanted to get a read on Eragon. Hrothgar wanted to get a read on Eragon. Naswada's like, I need to vibe check him too.
Yes, exactly.
Like, and that's what this interaction is. But he also says, like, oh, he invites her to sit down. And she's like, oh no, I'm expected elsewhere. You should also know my father decreed you may visit Murtagh if you wish. Mm-hmm. A somber expression disturbed her previously smooth features. I met Murtagh earlier. He's anxious to speak to you. He seemed lonely. You should visit him. And she gave him directions.
Yep. And I like that because she shows she's sympathetic towards someone who everyone else has been like, evil!
Oh, this guy!
But she is like, not only... she went to go meet Murtagh, but she also shows sympathy for his plight. He's lonely.
And so she acknowledges, he's lonely. You should go see your friend.
Yep.
And then Eragon thanks her and says, what about Arya? Is she better? Can I see her? She smiled mischievously. Arya is recovering swiftly, as all elves do. No one else is allowed to see her except my father, Hrothgar, and the healers. They've spent much time with her, learning all that has occurred during her imprisonment. I must go now. Is there anything you would like me to convey to Ajahad on your behalf? No, except for a desire to visit Arya, and give him my thanks for the hospitality that he's shown us.
Yep.
So, that's... a little bit like, oh, classic Eragon. He's like, oh, you can go see Murtagh if you want to. Yeah, cool. What about Arya? Can I go see Arya?
Can I see Arya, though?
I'm like, and he doesn't even... I don't know if it's intentional. Like, he's probably happy. But again, this whole chapter, we brought about Murtagh briefly before, but is not asked about seeing Murtagh at all, but has asked about seeing Arya multiple
times, yeah.
And has not asked after Murtagh, but is asked after Arya multiple times. Yep. Like, and doesn't reflect on feeling happy or relieved to hear about Murtagh or being like, oh, I do want to see my friend. He immediately uses it. He like thanks her and then immediately says, can I also see Arya? Yep. Like it's this thing. It's this reoccurring thing that makes it so hard for me ever to get on board with this fucking plot.
Yeah.
So we move on.
I do think that the difference, there might be a small difference in that Arya was like brink of death. and Murtag's just locked up in a cell somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's like the different there. I'm like, okay, like I can see there's like a difference.
Asking after him, being like, how is she doing? Is she well?
Yeah.
Can I see her?
Yeah. And then he's not asking to visit Murtag, who he hasn't seen since he apologized to Murtag, and Murtag shrugged in Ajahad's office.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right.
It's been like a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. And then he climbs up to where Saphira's at in the cave and was surprised to see Solembum curled up in the hollow at the base of her neck. And Saphira, is Solembum the one you wanted to meet? Just wondering.
Yep, they're just like, yes. I do
This is my friend.
Yep, I do like how the werecat was purring, his black tip tail flickering back and forth. The two of them looked at Eragon impudently as if to ask, what?
Yeah, like when you walk into a room, you see like your two cats and they're both just hanging out and they look at you like, what?
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly this. These are the two cats hanging out and they're like, what?
Yeah, I don't say anything. But I liked he thinks like it made sense that they would befriend each other. Their personalities were similar and they were both creatures of magic.
Yep. And I also do think Solembum and Saphira would be so interested in the other.
Yeah.
Like, as I think beings deeply in magic from a very long, like having a long line just in Allegasia's history.
And also they don't interact with other magical creatures.
Very like at
like
all.
I don't think rare cats are supposed to be very, very rare.
Yes.
Saphira is the only dragon save for Galbatorix's dragon. And so I don't know. They found a kindred spirit in each other. And
I really like that.
And of course, cat and dragon. Very, very
cat and
good.
dragon. Yep.
And he asked Solembum, do you know where Angela is? I couldn't find her and I need her advice.
She is somewhere in Tronchim.
When will she return?
Soon.
How soon? I need to talk to her today.
Not that soon. It's such a cat.
He's also described as he's kneading his paws against Saphira's scaled back.
Kneading her back. I also do really like, I'm like, if Vivi could talk, that would literally be how he talked to me.
Yeah.
Be like, Vivi, I love you. Are you okay? Yeah. I'm like, are you sure? I said yeah. Like, leave me alone.
I love you. Sure. No, Vivi would say, I love you too.
Vivi, in his cuddly moods.
He'd be like, I love you. You're my favorite. I love you, man. I love you.
I'd be like, do you want to go to bed? Yeah. Do you want to go to bed right now? Yeah. Like,
yep.
He's such.
He's a little beastie.
Yep.
And he thinks, and Eragon does think like, I have to visit Murtag tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, man. You do need to visit your buddy who's been in jail.
Yep. And that's the end of that chapter. And I do think like we got a lot in this chapter.
Shockingly, yeah. At first I was like, I don't know if I have a lot to say, but then when we were talking about it before, and he's like, oh no, the 3 points of
beats.
Meeting Hrothgar, the twins and then Swada. Those are hefty, and they have a lot of implications that are like really like. We're almost done.
Yeah,
there's only 4 chapters left.
We don't have very much at all left.
Yeah, we can. I think the last episode, I was like, we can't tell you what we're doing with the processes until we're reading it. I think now we can comfortably say last episode's coming out on Christmas, December 25th.
Yep.
That was not on purpose. The episodes just come out every other Wednesday.
Yep.
And there are 4 chapters left.
Yep.
And we're definitely combining the last and second to last chapters.
Yes.
So that puts us with 3 episodes left.
Yep.
After this one, there are 6 weeks left in the year going every other.
Yep.
The last episode's coming out December 25th.
Yep. And then
it's Merry Christmas. We're finished with Eragon.
There you go.
And then we'll figure out what comes next after that.
Yep.
But for now, we have some housekeeping to do. Wait, we're not done.
Writing.
No, writing takeaway. I don't know, man. If you don't want us to be as suspicious of some characters, maybe don't write them as the most suspicious.
Or if don't compare them to characters we know to be evil and or bad already.
I can't tell if we're supposed to
if we're supposed to trust these guys or if we're supposed to not trust these guys. Like I don't. I'm stuck.
We can not like them and still be like, but we're on the same team. We just have to. You can still be like, I don't like them, but here's what's up. No, Eragon, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. I'm like, do you want me not to trust them? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I think there is a way to write a character to be like, oh, I don't like this person, but they are trustworthy. Yeah. Like kind of like when Murtag killed that one guy, and it was like, what the fuck, and you can people can choose not to like Murtagh for that, but you still trust him.
Yeah, he's not
because
going to betray.
proven
No,
be
he's not going to
trustworthy.
betray Eragon.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, it's like we don't like them and we don't trust them.
We don't
like
trust them.
at
And
all.
every description we have of them is them being more and more like shady AF.
Yep.
So I just don't know if it's supposed to be obvious that these two fools are like clearly the problem.
Yeah, and I'm also interested because I'm like, was that the point? Like, is that what Polini was going for? Like, not to trust or like these individuals?
But at the same time, we talked about how like they're going to run Eragon's test, and no one's concerned about that, which makes us feel like we should be thinking Eragon and Saphira are just being, because they don't like them, they're just being difficult.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that's it. I don't know. That's the problem I'm
Yeah.
having. Like, I can't tell if you want me to know that these two are clearly shady.
Yeah.
And not just a little weird and a little like greedy,
Mhm.
but they're like a problem.
Yeah. And yep.
I don't know. For your take-home assignment, dear listeners, I would like to know if you're in a place to share what is an act of joyful radical defiance
Yeah.
that you would like to share, if you want to.
Yep.
And if you're not there, you totally don't have to. But if you would like to, or not even one that you are able to do right now, but something that you're like, when you think about what that could mean for you, if you are in a space to share it, we would really love to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been at the end game for a long time, but now truly, we are almost done.
Absolutely.
We'll be done by the end of the year. And that feels crazy to me.
Yeah, that's wild. And
That's-
then, yes,
Mhm.
I'm excited to get into the second book.
It'll be a good time. I think as we prepare to wrap the book, I think we're going to do, so last episode is going to come out the 25th.
Yep.
I think we'll do one more episode on Eragon specifically that'll
Yep.
come out in the new year. Specifically going over, it'll be a full mailbag episode.
Yeah.
Listeners' thoughts, anything you have, still spoiler free, but covering the entirety of the book. So
Yes.
anything anyone would like to share. If you do have spoiler thoughts, you can share them. We won't read them on the episode. We will probably put them in a collection of what we're doing on Patreon now, which I don't think I've talked about this. So on Patreon, obviously, if you wish to support us on Patreon, you can do so. $5 a month gets you access to the monthly bonus episode,
Yep.
where we're going to talk about a dragon-related piece of media outside of the Inheritance books.
Yep.
Additionally, something I've started to do is taking out any goofy outtakes,
Yep.
usually acknowledging cats in the studio,
Yes.
and any spoiler tangents we have, where we just mention something that obviously has implications, and then we are having a conversation about those implications.
Yeah.
Obviously, that can't go in the episode. We are a spoiler-free podcast.
Yes.
But I did start to put those in the Patreon, and those are actually free to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part of Patreon where you can just follow as a free member,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how you gain access to those. You don't get access to the bonus episodes that's here, but you
Yeah.
can listen to goofy outtakes where us doing audio checks is a big one, and usually eat a cat being super cute. And I
Yep.
don't know how fun those are to listen to if you can't see here. I'll start to also share a photo every time I drop one of those. You get a cat photo and the audio, and then also spoilers. So
Yes.
if there's something y'all want to drop, we ask that you do so by sending those in an email to aragonpod@gmail.com, just so folks who are not spoilers don't
Mhm.
see a spoiler on Instagram comments or Spotify comments.
Yeah.
So you can totally, and we'll hold those. But I think, yeah. So if that's something you were like, that sounds fun, I would really like to be part of that.
Yeah.
Again, we'll do a mailbag episode. And then if we don't have enough for a full mailbag episode, we won't.
Yeah.
So if
fair
you want one more episode, because before we go on hiatus, because, okay, cards on the table, we are absolutely going on like a planned hiatus at the end of the
Yeah.
book for a hot second to take a break, especially because we're recording through the holidays to finish.
Yeah.
And then over on Muses, DJ and I have got to record 12 extra episodes for Muse Miss.
Oh man.
So taking a break for XYZ amount of time, we haven't
Yep.
decided yet. But so here's your treat, dear listeners.
Yes.
If you want one more episode of Eragon before we go on hiatus, send us your thoughts on the book as a whole. Or if
Yeah.
you haven't read the rest of the series, any predictions you have.
Oh, that would
like
be
that
so
would be
cool.
super cool.
That would
Because
be
we
super
can't
cool.
do that.
Yeah.
But if this is your first time joining us, I know we have a couple people that I've talked to recently who were like, hey, when I mentioned it's spoiler free, they're like, oh, actually, I would like to listen to that.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're one of those listeners, we would love to hear your predictions about things you think will happen
Predictions
next.
would be so cool.
Yeah, overall thoughts on the books, favorite characters, things like that.
Yep.
And then we'll also probably use that to round up any remaining comments
Yep.
from the prior episodes.
Yep.
So, Speaking of, before we fully wrap, we've gotten quite a few, so that's why I don't want to save them all for the next one, because we've already gotten so many.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
It's so pleasant to
just get a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, to see people's like engaging
interactions. Yes.
So shout out to Owen, who commented, "Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. The most iconic info dump of all time." I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
On the same grain, Standby Line podcast shared that Randy's description of the rules for surviving a horror movie in Scream is unrivaled.
Mm-hmm.
Gaming Theater Presents said, as far as the best, I'm thinking of the explanations in the events of the movie Clue or Luis in Ant-Man.
Ooh.
Which is also very good and funny.
Yeah.
And then the Demigod pod. The worst I've probably seen is the one in Fourth Wing, where she's on the ledge thingy and starts world building facts to de-stress or something. I remember being very off-put by that.
Yeah.
Like, just seeing like, I'm really stressed. I'm just going to think about the history of the American Revolution. Like, what? There are so many recently.
Wow, that's so good, though.
I know.
I'm trying to find it. There was one, we got a new follower, and they commented on one.
Yes, I've got them. Wild Fox Finds.
Yes.
Yep. And so on the episode we call for like, okay, who's deaths that hit you the hardest?
Yep.
Wild Fox Finds. I sobbed when Hedwig died, but Brom hit me the hardest.
Yep.
It's like big mood. Wild
move.
Fox Finds.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
When we talked about, not othering while doing comparisons.
Yeah.
IDK over on Spotify. I feel like Brandon Sanderson does a great job with the problem of not describing the norm, where he goes a step further and actually uses it to enhance the POV of his characters. In Stormlight, most of the characters are physically very Asian, and a group of white people in the same world are described as having strangely large eyes and pale skin. But then you never get a similar mention for the main character's family or friends because it's their norm, and I love that detail so much. And that is good. Like, I think our thing is, like, don't use it as, like, not necessarily the norm, but like the basic, like default.
Yes,
but it's still like that's to say, don't describe characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I think how they describe it in Stormlight is like the main character isn't thinking about the things of their friends and family because they wouldn't. But these other people who look very different are described as being different and strange. Yes. And so like that is blank as default is an unconscious choice influenced by bias and uninterrogated. Whereas using it as an intentional tool in your arsenal is a very useful thing to have and can be very impactful.
Yes, very much like that.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm assuming this is a new listener because they commented a lot going forward. So I just want to shout out Jacob Castello. Loved your comments on Spotify. Thank you. On one early episode, if he named an awesome character after his sister, are more ordinary named after others? Like, did Paolini know a really shady Helen? I'm like, wow, what a good point.
That's great.
Another one was, not y'all using Brom's death to hype up Murtagh. I am here for it. I'm like, okay. We did use Brom dying and Murtagh being like supportive. Just be like, he's so great. But like, facts. You're right. We did do that. But also, were we wrong? Yeah. They also noted how the Night Angel series, Jarl was a character whose friendship was one of the few bright spots in the Dark World. I wish I could have seen that character grow more. Aww. Oh no, Jarl!
Yeah.
What happened? I can guess, but what a bummer.
Yeah.
And then last comment from Jacob. Book-wise, it's the mundane, how the characters really feel fleshed out through all their interactions and reactions in every situation. Podcast-wise, it's super simple, but y'all's outro is so perfect.
Aw, thank you.
And Jacob, thank you so much. It is very simple. It's very silly of the mirror back and forth of the intro.
Yes.
But it is something that I really love, and so I appreciate someone acknowledging it.
Yes, absolutely. It's very good.
And on that note,
she's
Lucy Hart.
And she's Darien Smartt.
And this is Eragon.
And back again.